Welcome back to the South Point, everybody. In just a few seconds, the dog himself is going to join us. Amal, do you want me to go ahead and use the Colts against him? You know, I look for help wherever I can get it.
If you're getting 7, no question.
Okay, let me see what I get on this one. It's only 6.
6, still roll with it. I feel confident about the Colts in this matchup.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pick against each other. We got to beat the dog this year, you know. It's very, very important for my guys in the desert. After all, I'm the defending champ. You know he's going to have some questions first. Think he'll ask me about Antonio Brown? Bet on it.
Oh, that's a lock.
Indeed, the great Brent every Friday will join us as the schedule allows to go through some picks. We're 1-1 after the first 2 years, so a rubber match for 2019. Brent, welcome back. How are you today, buddy?
Dog,
okay?
It's good to hear your voice, my man. Have you had a good summer?
I took 11, and Vinny's with us too. We always pop
And
Vinny
we got
up.
it.
Vinny,
we
how
got
are you?
Vinny.
How are you?
Also, I got Amal Shaw. He's one of my guys in the desert. You know, I bring in help wherever I can find it. You know what I mean? But you got your man Vinny right here, dog.
How are you, Chris?
Good to hear from you, Vinny. Vinny had my little buddy out there this week, and the big guy from Rapid. We'll get to that maybe a little later on. All right, Brent, a couple things I want to discuss. We're going to do this in 2 segments this year, a little more time. We have not mentioned this yet. I have not had a guy on. Jack Whitaker passed, who called the 60 championship game, Eagles and Packers. Super Bowl one, of course, everything else. You knew him well. CBS, ABC. The passing 95 of Jack Whitaker. Thoughts there for a sec? Let me hear. Go ahead.
Elegant man, craftsman with the words. Certainly I was around him a lot of times. You know, he hosted the NFL Today. They didn't call it that. I think it was Countdown to the NFL or something. And they taped that show. Pat Summerall and Jack taped it in the days before we came in the mid-'70s. He was a great fan of golf. I was always sad, very sad, Mad Dog. He used the word mob, referring to the crowd at Augusta, and he was kicked off the broadcast forevermore after that. I always thought that was a gross injustice that Jack loved golf. His voice was great. Man, he could write under pressure. We would use him to close out events and everything. And out of Philly, was not a big gambler that I know of. Didn't talk to me a lot about the point spreads and that, but had great conversations. He'd been in the Second World War, and he was just elegant, I think, is the word that best describes Jack. He certainly was the best dressed of us, anybody at CBS back in the day.
Good job there, Brent. Perfect. You hit that. And he loved the horse racing, too. He did a Ruffian. I don't know if that was your broadcast, the Ruffian match race at Belmont. Did you do that race?
I did not. I did not do that, dog. But Jack was there right in the middle of it, and wound up being such a sad story.
It did. All right, that's number one. Number two, SI did the top 100 influential people involved in the NFL, variety of different ways in the first 100 years. You're not there. You should be. But forget that for a second. No Gowdy, no Enberg, and no Pat Summerall. How is that possible?
It's not. So it was a bad list. And exclude me because they've got Jimmy the Greek on the list. And,
they do have that. Yes,
yeah,
they do.
And that was fine. Because the Greek was the first person, Mad Dog, to talk about gambling and betting on football on an NFL-related show. We brought him on in 1976, the second year of the NFL Today. But those voices that you mentioned, they were the voices that helped propel the National Football League to what it is today. Kurt Gowdy over at NBC later came to us at the end of his career. And, of course, Pat Summerall teamed with Tom Brookshire for a long time, and then John Madden joined him. Dick Enberg, oh my. And, of course, he had worked in San Diego, later closed out his career, broadcasting baseball again with the Padres. But those voices kept people attuned to the sport, believe me. Magnificent individuals.
All right, Facenda's not on the list, but Sable is. With no problem with Sable, should Facenda be on this list, or they have the NFL films covered with Sable? What's your take on that?
Oh, the voice of John Facenda, I always thought it was the voice of God when I would hear John Facenda. Absolutely, he's one of the most influential because there is no, and I say this with love, there has never been a propaganda group as successful as NFL Films. The things that they would do after the events, and even with Hard Knocks, taking people on the inside. And Ed Sable was great. He sold the NFL and the idea that his company bring an intimate look to professional football. Pete Rozelle was all in, and that's why NFL Films still occupies the position that they do today.
All right, I did a lot of top moments off the field in the last couple of days, Brent, and one that I put on there that I could see people quibbling with, I put Lombardi on there when he got the Packer job, because obviously Green Bay then becomes a dynasty, and all the New York folks, Bill Hines, Red Smith, who was from Green Bay, born and raised, Cosell, Shap, they kind of gravitated to Lombardi, which sort of dawned the 60s in the National Football League. Am I right? Wrong, putting Lombardi on that list. Let me hear.
Oh, Lombardi belongs on that list, absolutely. Went to the small town of Green Bay, had started out as an assistant for Red Blake up at West Point before he came down to the Giants. The Maras allowed him to become the head coach of the Packers. And everybody loves the success of the Packers. I don't care what team you pull for. That little town, this small town in Wisconsin that has a big football presence. Last night it was so great to see the picture on the NBC broadcast. Curly Lambeau, George Halas up there, the Bears, obviously, of course, but certainly Lombardi belongs there. And the guys that you mentioned, I was a young reporter covering the Bears, and Vince Lombardi, on Saturday night, when the New York media in particular, all of his friends, led by Red Smith, would come into town, he would host a cocktail party over at his house. We would all go to this very unpretentious home in Green Bay, and there was Vince and his wife entertaining us. We'd have a little buffet, and we'd have a cold beverage, and he was always it's so nice to be around that night, and we would all wonder, because we would ask him from time to time, Vince, are you concerned about tomorrow's game? And it was always the haze in the barn, boys. There's nothing I can do about it. We're prepared and ready to go. He was the most relaxed coach the night before a game that I have ever been around. Vince Lombardi.
Wow.
It absolutely should be on the list.
Not very good. All right, we got more to do. Brent will help us with the games. We'll throw Vinny in the mix, too. Little Hard Knocks and Antonio Brown with Brent when we continue. Busy program. Good to have you with us on a busy show here on Mad Dog Unleashed.
All right, so, folks, we're going to get ready to get to our picks, and we know we're going to use Amal Shah. He's not thinking about the Colts. At least I don't think he is. You never know about the dog, though. He likes points. Well, if you're just joining my guys in the desert, again, in less than a minute, we're going to be joining Mad Dog Russo. It's a simulcast with his channel on Sirius XM, and you're watching, of course, many of us on vsin.com. And the dog and Vinny, is it 3 picks that we make? Is that what it is?
You make 3 picks against the spread, each of you. Yeah, they can't be the same. They'll be different, and you'll alternate.
I can go the other side if I read.
If you are so convinced, absolutely.
You never know. Now, who
double up?
Do I go first because I'm the champ?
I think you won. You won last year.
Well, I let the dog set the agenda. We've got
all right.
Amal's got me all excited about the Colts. So.
You are the commissioner. I think it's only right.
Exactly. The dog is coming up.
Brent, welcome back. Good to have you with us here. What's your take? I know you're the voice of the Raiders, so let's get it out of the way. What's your take on how they handled the Antonio Brown situation? He plays on Monday night. Let me get your thoughts on that quickly. Go ahead.
Well, yesterday I was convinced that he would not play on Monday night, Mad Dog, but he went in, had an emotional apology in front of the team, and the captains were flanking him on both sides. Now, the part of the story that I'm assuming, but I haven't gotten official word, is that he went in privately and apologized to the general manager, Mike Mayock, for that explosion out on the sidelines during a practice. My problem, Mad Dog, Listen, he's a great talent. He's a Hall of Fame talent. There's no question about that.
No
he and
question,
John
no
Gruden have
question.
gotten along. My concern from a Raiders standpoint, and I've been very public about it, is will he change his behavior? Let's go to Monday night. Let's say that he hasn't caught a pass in the first quarter, and let's say Tyrell Williams has been the target for whatever reason that Derek. Will he go off on this team? Remember, he got mad at Ben Roethlisberger. Can he control this behavior of his? And the other thing, if I was Antonio and I was the Raiders, I'd say, why don't you just stay off social media for a while? Just, it's unnecessary. If he had a problem with that fine, he should have gone privately to Mayock. But we shall see. Again, the talent.
I have the idea, Brent, that Gruden wanted him back and not the GM. Is that true?
Well, I haven't asked either of them because I haven't been up in Oakland since then. I think it is clear that Coach Gruden wanted him back. I mean, I don't think there's a question about that. I don't know whether Gruden was even aware or he got it secondhand, to tell you the truth. He's pretty hands-on. If you go to Raider practice like I do frequently, he's very hands-on. He's not paying attention to who's ever over on the sideline. But I'll find out more about the feelings internally this week. I'm going up to Oakland tomorrow. The game is Monday night. I'll go over to Alameda to the practice facility, and we shall see.
All right, let's get the picks going. 3 apiece, Brent and I. We're going to let him go first since he was the champion last year. I won the first year, but Brent did a great job last year. We used Brent's VSiN's line, so Brent will get us started here. We get 3 picks a week. We'll have some fun in the postseason. And Brent, you're up first. Take it away, pal. What do you have?
All right, my man. I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts catching 6 out in Los Angeles against the Chargers. The retirement of star quarterback Andrew Luck, and Amal Shah has pointed me in this direction that there was an overreaction. Amal told me, and you know what? I'm all on board. I like to buy on that bad news. I'm like a stock trader, okay? I think that the Colts, Jacoby Brissetti's played enough games to keep this close, and they can stay. Love having the 6 points. Wish it was 6.5, but I'll take the 6. I want the Colts against the Chargers.
All right, good job there. I can, lose something to prove for Brissett. There are 2 big lines this week, and I like both of them, the favorites, the Eagles and the Seahawks. Start here. I think Brent might take the other one. So I'll take Philly because I think Philly's got a lot to prove. The quarterback's got a lot to prove. I think the Redskins walking into the Link on Sunday is a very tough spot for a young team. I know Keenan knows that, he doesn't have a long leash, which makes it tricky. Redskins got a good defensive line. That's the one thing they have. But there's a lot of weapons with Philadelphia. They got a couple of good tight ends. Jordan Howard can run the ball. You know about their receivers with Jeffrey Aguilar. Then you throw in Deshaun Jackson. I think Wentz, 2 years ago, if healthy, was going to maybe be the MVP. They have a good defensive front. I don't think the Redskins can score. 10's a lot. I'll dish it. I'll take the Eagles, Brent, minus 10, week 1 against the Redskins. That's my first one.
As long as I've known you, I have never, ever heard you take and give 10 points. My man, the dog, stepping up. He's got a new strategy. All right, number 2. I'm going down to Glendale, Arizona. This is the show-me game. The Arizona Cardinals have to show me that they know what they're doing with this high-flying Texas Tech offense. I am going to go with the Detroit Lions, the addition to that defensive unit. Terrific defensive players, secondary, up front. They are going to give Kyler Murray a nightmare in that game, in my opinion. I'm all about the Lions, minus 2.5. Give me Detroit, dog.
And I am too, right, Vin? I like the Lions in that game myself.
Yes, you do.
Say something funny, Vin.
Yeah.
Say something funny.
Yes, I heard that. I heard that from a very reliable source.
All right, that's game 2. I will take the Saints in game number 2 on my end. A couple of reasons. I think the Saints are dying to get back on the field since the horrendous call that probably cost them a Super Bowl appearance last year. And I think they've had a chip on their shoulder ever since. Houston, I think, is a little disheveled right now. They brought a lot of new players in. They shipped Clowney out. I think it might take them a little while to get settled with Stills, the receiver, and along their offensive line with 2 rookies with that noise in New Orleans is also a problem. And I think the Saints are just going to fly fly here and get off to a good start in 2019. 6.5's a bunch. Houston's going to have to try to match the Saints offense. I'm not sure if they can do that. Michael Thomas is happy and paid. I'll take New Orleans, Brent, game 2, giving up 6.5 against the Texans.
The dog is all about the chalk in week 1. Okay, I will not let this one get by me. On our line, the Raiders plus 2.5 at home on Monday night. I'm going to give the dog full credit one way or the other on the play-by-play broadcast. But listen to this, my man. The home team has won 6 straight meetings in the Raiders and Broncos series, covering the spread 5 times. And in the last 3 meetings, the Broncos have not scored a first half point. And remember, this is a pretty mediocre Raider defense that they faced last year. The under, just for you, dog, 7-1 in the last 8 meetings. And Antonio Brown, number 84, will be on the field. Yes or no, will he score a touchdown? There'll be a lot of bets on that. Let me have the Raiders. Let me have something more to cheer for. Plus 2.5 Monday night.
Very good, Brent. Will be on the microphone with that game. I'm going to take the 49ers in a pick'em game against Tampa. I know it's a long way to go. The game is not at 10 a.m., though. It's at 1 for their time. In Tampa, the hot weather. Tim McGraw has Ira told us yesterday he's going to do a little before the game entertainment to sell some seats. I think Garoppolo and Shanahan's a better combination in Winston and Arians. I think Winston, obviously can do a little too much, get himself in some trouble. I know the Niners had that one bad preseason game in Denver. Their second one was pretty good on the road. I think the Niners got a chance to be pretty good in the NFC. They got a good pass rush. They have some weapons offensively. I know they lost a running back, but I do like San Francisco in this game, a pick'em affair against the Bucs. So San Francisco for me, and then the 2 big favorites, Philadelphia and the Saints. Brent will take the Raiders. Brent will take the points with Indianapolis. And Brent's third choice this week was taking one at the Lions against the Cardinals. Brent, let me get a word with Vinny. Vinny, did you have a big opening night? It was a great ratings night. I think everybody's dying for football. Did you have a big opening night with the Packers and the Bears on Thursday?
Doug, we absolutely did. It was a great game to kick off the betting because everybody tied last night's game into not only parlays. Give me the Packers and over, give me the Bears and over. So the result for the total with the total was good for the house. But that game jump-started everything for the weekend because, as you know, folks love to take one game, particularly a standalone game on Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night, and put it towards their other selections during the course of the week. So last night's game got everything jump-started. And what's really important to remember about that is, let's remember, there's now 11, 12 other states with legal sports wagering. We've not seen a drop-off at all.
Wow, interesting. Gentlemen, Brent, you'll like this. I was bored stiff on Sunday night. I took the over of Oklahoma-Houston. The number was 80. It was 7-0 after 1. Houston and Oklahoma scored 2 touchdowns in the last 2:45. I've never felt a win like a push in my life. 49-31, Vinny baby. A push with the Sooners and the Cougars. Thoughts on that for a second?
I'll sum it up this way. We're still paying those out.
Oh, really?
We got middled. We got middled on an 80.
You got middled on an 80.
How about that? God. No sympathy, though. That's all right. Reload.
Brent, I got the impression that the Raiders and Gruden and Mayock did not like the hard knock scenario. They didn't like them intruding. Is that true? Yes or no?
Oh, absolutely true. No team likes those cameras around, but they did a great job of controlling the narrative. You never, ever saw a cut by the head coach. You never saw that emotional scene when he has to tell a young man, you're not going to make the Raiders this year. They wouldn't let him in. Some of the coaches' meetings were completely private. It was a great job. John Gruden's a star on camera. It was fascinating in certain areas, and it was boring in other areas. But that's how the Raiders wanted it. I thought they did a great job.
All right, give me a Super Bowl pick, Brent, before you go. Go ahead, quickly.
Kansas City and Philadelphia, my man. They will meet in Miami.
I took Pittsburgh and Philly, Battle of Pennsylvania. Brent, safe trip. Vinny, next week, more time. We love the both of you. Thanks very much.
So there's the dog. Vinny, quickly, who do I have?
Brent, you've got the Colts +6, Lions -2.5, Raiders +2.5. Mad Dog went with Eagles -10, Saints -6.5, and the Niners at Pick'em
I got the whole Gruden family.
You guys.
We are coming right back, My Guys in the Desert.